Hello, 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 and welcome to Mike Cobb's Offshore Investment Report. Today's edition, grab your coffee. Very special edition because I have for you a book, but not just a book. This is the #1 offshore book, information book on the face of the earth. And I'm not, when we get into it, I'm not exaggerating. And we have the advantage of the fact that this book, which answers the 15 critical questions that you need to know, this book, and it's fascinating, we have the advantage the book was actually written by our own Mike Cobb. Mike, welcome to the author, as the Broadway play said. This, I am blown away. Folks, I got to be honest with you. I did not know until yesterday that the book existed. How stupid is that? I have downloaded it. Mike, what I love, this is not a booklet. This is not a little tiny handbook. Folks, it's 110 pages, full color, everything you need to know, and you need to download it. Mike, there are 15 key questions you answer in the book.
Yep. Let's
take them all over the next 8 weeks because we got other stuff we want to talk about as well from time to time.
Yeah.
Does that sound good to you?
Hey, absolutely, Carter. You're running the show. I'm just the entertainment here. So yeah.
The entertainment. I think it's almost like I started reading this book, and what I thought about was it's so good. I thought about the guy who said, when I want to read a good book, I'll write one. And you did. You did.
Well, Carter, this book really came from 26 years. I mean, it gets updated once in a while, but I would say the first 10 years of our business, it was a very steep learning curve, right? I mean, new business, doing stuff offshore. I mean, it was a steep learning curve. And I just started to make notes of things. And I said, gosh, I mean, that's something everybody should know about so that they don't make the same mistake I did. And I like to say, literally, I've paid millions of dollars of tuition, and this tuition, everybody has to pay. You either have to pay it or you have to, avoid it, right? And so I put together these 15 questions. I cheated a little bit because I think it's more like 21 or 22 questions because some of them I kind of grouped together like 3 questions in one kind of thing because I figured 15 is better than some bigger number. But right, these are really important due diligence questions that we should ask when we're buying property overseas. And if we don't know to ask it, then we're going to pay a lot of tuition. And I'm hopeful. Actually, I know for a fact because I get when we send this thing out to just probably thousands of people every year, and I get wonderful comments from people just thanking me because it really helped them on something they were working on, or it saved them a lot of hassle. And you know what? Those are the emails, Carter, that I absolutely love because whether somebody buys from us or not, at the end of the day, if they are a happy property owner overseas because they got it done right the first time, and that's what I always say, this is the guide to help you get it done right the first time. And when I get those emails, I know that there's another happy expat out there. They've transacted on a property and they're going to tell all their friends what a great experience it was. And that helps everybody in the business and it helps them specifically. And I'm just really happy that I could help people, get it right the first time. Right.
And folks, you can get it free. This is free. Just go to the Gary will bring up the there we go. The resource. Go there. It's free, 110 pages, downloadable, full color, covers. I got the table of contents here. Folks, it covers everything. It gives you the 15 questions. It gives you little write-ups about each of the countries where Mike has, ECI and Mike and Joel Nagel had developments, Belize, Nicaragua, Costa Rica. Everything is there. Get it. And as we're going to do question 1 today, but we're going to do, as I said, 15 over the next 8 weeks or so. Folks, get the book so you can go along and underline and add the annotations as Mike gives them to you. Don't go there now and get it. Don't go there now. There we go. There's the real McCoy. Don't go there now. Watch this. You're going to learn from it today. And then when this is over, go right there to get it. So, Mike, the first question, the first of the 15, okay? because I know we have limited time, but the first of the question 15, folks, this is the actual page where the first question is. Look at this. Thank God for my color printer. Okay.
No kidding.
Question 1. The headline says, and let me address this. Buy what you see. Buy what you see. Question 1 is there, because that's the guide to the whole 15, right? To buy what you see. Comment on that, Mike. That's real. That's real important. That is vital to people.
Well, you're right. And you know what? What I did was I kind of broke the consumer resource guide up into three general principles, right? 15 questions. That's not so hard to remember, but everybody can remember 3 things. And so I really broke the questions up into 3.
Except Joe Biden. Oh, sorry. So I'm sorry, folks.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, but 3 things. We can remember 3 principles. The first one, which you just mentioned, is buy what you see, right? That underlies everything. The second one is own community, because community is the foundation of quality of life. It's our friends, it's our relationships, right? And the third is know the developer. And so while we're talking about the first, 5 questions, buy what you see, we'll talk about that. And then when we get to the own community, we'll expand on that, and then know the developer. Those are the 3 big principles. But, buy what you see, there's a famous word in the developer lexicon, especially in Latin America. And that word is gonna. Gunna. I think that's how you spell gonna, right? We're gonna build a golf course. We're gonna build a clubhouse. We're gonna put in the roads and electricity, right? I don't really know what gonna means, but I hear that all the time from my competitors. We're gonna. Well, you know what? Maybe they will, maybe they won't, and the thing is you can believe the developer, right? And I'm just going to make an example. So they're selling lots, and they're trying to sell the lots for, $59,000 or whatever they are. But there's no road, there's no electric, or there's no golf course, or whatever they're saying they're going to do.
But there's going to be.
Exactly. There's going to be. And so 2 things. One, and we'll get to there's something called show me the money, and we're going to get to that in the know the developer side. But on the buy what you see principle, what I always recommend is no problem. You know what? If they're gonna build a golf course, or they're gonna bring the road in, and the lot's 59,000. Look, Mr. Developer, that's great. How about I give you 25 right now, because that's what the lot's worth without the road or the golf course or whatever. And when you get it finished, I'll pay you the next 25. Well, that math didn't work, but anyway, you see what I'm saying? Like maybe give them half now or a third now, and go, hey, I'm gonna pay for what's here. And when you deliver the stuff that you're gonna deliver, I'll pay you the rest, right? Because then you are buying what you see rather than buying this vaporware. I was in this computer business for a long time, and vaporware was, what a software salesperson would sell a customer, and then go back to the brains in the office and say, hey, you got to build this for me, right?
Make this,
make this, right? So. Anyway, so I think it's really, really important to buy what you see, pay for what you see, pay for what is real, and then work a deal with the developer or the property owner to say, hey, look, when the rest of it comes along, I'll pay the rest. It's worth $59,000, but just not as it is right now, right?
Yeah, and folks, this advice is why this gentleman is the Offshore Investment Oracle. And Mike, you and I have a mutual friend. I'm not going to name him because he's a good guy. He's really a good guy. Mm-hmm. But years ago, geez, it had maybe 10 or 15 years ago, he was gonna build an incredible residential resort community in Belize. I wrote the direct mail letter for it. It was beautiful. The drawings were breathtaking.
Yeah.
It ain't there.
Right.
And he did it. Now, I'm going to say, him, I know him. He did it with the absolute best of intentions.
Right. And look, a lot of people have great intentions, but my business is hard. I mean, we're 26 years into this thing. Carter, I'm working, 6-7 day weeks, 12-hour days, like I always joke, I usually work a half day on Christmas. I only work 6 hours on Christmas, our business is really, really hard. And and people do enter it, with good intentions. By the way, there are some bad actors out there too, and that's a different thing, right?
Yeah.
But even people with good intentions, like, you got to be able to get the job done, and the number of people who do is small, and the number of people who don't is big. But look, if you paid $25,000 for this lot, and stuff never got done, yeah, you'd probably kick yourself and say, ugh, right? But maybe it's worth 25. I mean, that's the thing you got to kind of figure out, right? What's it worth as it is right now?
Excellent.
Pay that price, right? Pay for what you see, buy what you see. Being a big one. But that's actually not even one of the questions. I mean, we've wandered around here for a while
it's the
on the
headline above
concept, but
the first 5. So let's get to the first question. Question 1. I love this. Is there year-round access to property? What's the driving time to shopping, dining, and the airport?
Right.
Okay, that's question number 1. Is there year-round access? Folks, what you need to ask, whenever you're considering property, is there year-round access to property? What's the drive time from shopping, dining, and the airport?
And you see, Carter, I did sneak 2 questions into one there, but anyway.
Yes, you did. So, folks, you're actually getting 32 questions over the next day.
Very related, of course. The thing about the tropics is that, especially on the Pacific coast of, starting in Mexico, going all the way down to Panama, and even into, South America as well. Tropical climates have extreme dry seasons, extreme rainy seasons. And in the dry season, horrible roads, like a horrible road in the rainy season that might have you, 1.5 feet of mud, in the dry season, because it's a very expansive clay, right? They can hit that thing with a grader. And literally, and I know, because like when we bought our property at Grand Pacifica, there were many rainy season days where we couldn't get to the property with our cars. And we would just simply turn around. Or if we absolutely had to be there, we had a farmer who lived along the road, and we would hire him, and he'd take his tractor and put the cart on the back and haul us to the property to do whatever work we had to do. If you had a horse, no problem. So, all the guys on horseback would get there. But anyway, so
there's the picture in your book as to what to avoid, folks.
Yeah, I love the one where you're holding it, like slide it over just a smidge more, Carter. Yeah. So, right. So that is actually a picture of me back in like 2001, 2002, where, I mean, we're trying to get there, but you can see the mud's, a foot deep. And, but Carter, that road in the dry season, I would drive 50 miles an hour on it because it was just a nice hard packed dirt road. Right. And so 50 miles an hour in the dry season and -1 mile an hour in the rainy season with an ox pulling you out backward. I mean, you got an ox team. You can't see it in that picture very well, but it's in the book if you request the book. Right. Anyway, so the point is that, and then we're going to have you show the other picture in a second too. But these roads, they're horrible. They can be horrible in the rainy season. And so show that other picture for a second, because that's a picture of a stream bed that in the dry season has no water. Wait, go back to the one with the truck trying to get through. Yeah. I mean, thank you, Carter. Right.
There we go.
So in the dry season, that is absolutely bone dry. There's no water coming down that, right? Because you get 6 months of rain and 6 months of dry. But in the tropics, it can rain like 4 inches of rain in 2 hours. And then all of a sudden you get these stream beds that are now, this one's probably about 3 feet deep, but it can actually get to be, 8 feet deep, which means you're not getting across it, right? And so what we always tell folks is, if you're going to buy property in the tropics, buy it in the rainy season. Because if you buy it in the rainy season, you will absolutely know how bad the road is, right? Or if you have to drive across a creek, well, is there water in it or is there not water in it, right? And so, but the thing is most people go on vacation in the dry season. The dry season is, Thanksgiving until May. Well, that's when everyone in North America wants to get out of the cold, and they go to, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Panama. It doesn't matter, any of these countries in the tropics, right? They'll go down there on vacation. They'll find this beautiful property at the beach, and it's fun. You're driving on a dirt road, and woohoo, I'm driving on a dirt road, and, whatever. And I had some friends who came down to visit us one time, and and they were so excited because we were four-wheeling. And this, I mean, I'm like, geez, I do this every day. There's nothing exciting about this at all. But it's adventurous, right? For a lot of people who've been on pavement their whole lives, you get down, you're on a dirt road. It's exciting. You cross a stream bed. Hell, there are places where you actually have to drive up a stream bed or down a stream or riverbed to get to the property, right? I've done this to look at properties. And, and that's kind of cool. I mean, you're driving down a riverbed, right? But when the river's, 3 feet tall, like you're not doing that anymore, or 5 feet tall, you're definitely not doing it, or deep, not tall. But anyway, so the point is if you buy property in the rainy season, you will absolutely know the worst that road or access, it's not just road, but what the worst the access can be. And then you can make a decision on whether or not you want to make that purchase. Or again, if it's really expensive, you might say, well, I can't get here in the rainy season, or holy smokes, how am I, I'm not paying that price for that property. I mean,
Yeah.
I want a much more reasonable price based on the condition of the roads or the bridges or lack of bridges, whatever. So that's really the access question. And then the second question that's kind of buried in there is, a lot of times in the US, we talk about distance in terms of miles. But in Latin America, it's all about time. I mean, if it's if it's a nice, paved road or a hard packed dirt road in dry season, yeah, you can drive, 40, 50 miles an hour. And like, okay, it's 20 miles, it's 30 minutes or whatever the math on that is. But in the rainy season, you literally, you might get stuck, right? If the road hasn't been improved or maintained, or you might go, 10 miles an hour, in which case it's 2 hours to the grocery store or whatever. So we have to think about time and again, in the rainy season and the dry season, to understand what access really is to the property.
Yeah. Let me point something out here, folks. The time is very important. I remember one day I was driving somewhere in Honduras, and I came and the bridge was washed out, right?
Yeah.
I said, and the gentleman, I was a Honduran gentleman, I said, bridge is washed out. And he said, see, it is muy malo. I said, really? I said, well, how long has it been washed out? And he said, 3 años pasado, 3 years ago.
Right. Yeah. And in the dry season, no big deal. Drive on across.
There you go. Yeah.
And some days in the rainy season, no problem. It hasn't rained today, or hasn't rained, very much. So you can drive across it. But in the middle of a thunderstorm and the water's up, you're not getting across it. So yeah, right.
So when you are, let me ask you, just real parenthetically here, with stuff like this. Now, Grand Pacifica has everything. It has the most modern roads, lighting, the conveniences. Grand Pacifica, folks, is a Mike Cobb community extraordinaire. But when you ran into this, did you ever say to yourself, what the hell have I got myself into? Just for our curiosity.
Well, yeah, yes and no, right? I mean, yeah, sometimes you're stuck in the mud and you're just like, ugh, right? But no, I don't think there's ever been a doubt in my mind that we would, get the roads paved. And this was before we actually had any property owners. Like I said, that's 2001, maybe 2002. We didn't start selling properties until 2004, end of 4 into 2005. And by that time, we had done a lot of road improvements. Now, we hadn't paved it, but we'd put in drainage. The big thing actually is drainage, good material and drainage. And so we had spent, several $100,000 fixing a public road, right? And that's the other thing. Like, a lot of times, I hear this too. Oh yeah, the government's going to fix that road. I mean, no, they're not, unless the mayor lives at the end of it, whatever, right? I mean, they're not. And so you're laughing, but I mean, like, our road was dismal for so many years. And, and many other roads around us, got fixed up first, right? But ours is now paved, which is, I'm happy about that. But the point is that when somebody says, oh yeah, the government's going to take care of this road, my question is why? I mean, are they really, and so I always look at this, and I encourage people to look at this very carefully. The developer needs to be responsible. They are the responsible party for the maintenance, if even public roads, for access and things like that. So that's again not something we're used to in the States, right? In the States, the government does fix the roads, but the governments have lots of money, and we can talk about taxes and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, the whatever federal, state, and local governments, they spend a lot of money on road building, road repairs, those infrastructure, and that's just simply not the case in Latin America generally. So the developer's the one, and again, that's the third principle: know the developer, and we'll get to that later. But
yeah,
but anyway, yeah.
So I think what you did was you took the 3.5 miles, and we're focusing on Grand Pacifica right now, even though you have Grand Bayman and Belize and other developments in El Zante and El Salvador, the Reef,
Honduras,
I think it's called
we've got
Honduras,
the Reef,
right? Which is, and all of those folks, they are Mike Cobb communities. So everything that Mike is saying now is taken care of for you, and that's vital. That's vital, Mike. That's vital for people to know. And so, Gary, if you get a chance, insert a picture of Grand Pacifica now, because I want to make sure people understand there are no mud roads. I usually have one handy. I don't now. I'd have to turn around and search. But
I don't either, actually. But yeah, but yes, you can leave the airport and you can drive on a paved road the whole way to Grand Pacifica. That is correct.
It's fantastic, and that addresses what you just said: drive time from shopping, dining, and airport, all of which in Grand Pacifica's case is even there, or because of what you've done with the roadways and the drainage and all, is easy access.
Yep.
Which, folks, we're not saying go buy Grand Pacifica. I think you probably should, but that's what to look for. That's what to look for. That's number one, right?
Number one. And if you're watching this, request the Consumer Resource Guide. You'll be very, very glad you did. It's a free resource. It cost us millions of dollars in tuition to learn these lessons, and we've put them in a book, and we're giving them away for folks who are thinking about property ownership overseas.
Great, fantastic, Mike. That's number one. That's number one. We got 14 more over the next 8 weeks, and this is just great. This is absolutely great, folks. Get the book. Get the book. Okay, there we go. And next episode, maybe next week after, follow along with us. Mike, thank you. This has been perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Have a great week.
Thank you. Thank you very much, folks. Excellent. Again, grab this. It's free. 110-page book. Everything you need to know to get everything you really want in a offshore property. So, as I always tell you every week, thanks for joining us. Let's do this thing.